Ed Reed, and I'm here with Amy Modglin. And what we want to do, we just want to have a conversation with this dynamic woman I want you guys to meet. Amy, tell me a little bit about your situation. What's made you, you?
Thanks, Ed, and it's an honor to sit here and talk to you about what makes me me. What makes me me is the trials and the tribulations and the challenges that I faced in life. You know, so many people go through hard times, and people's hard times are different. You know, I always tell people, once they hear my story, which you're about to, my friend, but I always tell people, they hear my story and then they feel bad and they want to console me and cry for me. And I tell them, you know, for a 16-year-old, sometimes their stuff is that their parents didn't buy them a new car when they got their license.
Right.
For other 16-year-olds, their stuff is so much bigger. So I've had so many challenges in my life, Ed, and in particular, when I was 13, I was taken out of my house. I had a bad situation at home, and I lived in 15 different foster homes and many other places. And during that time of my life, Ed, I didn't know God. I didn't grow up in a household of faith, but I know that God knew me because He kept me safe and He kept me alive in many situations that if He didn't know me, that I wouldn't be here today to talk to you. So I served in the U.S. Navy. I was a chief hospital corpsman in the Navy, serving my country. Honor to serve my country. It was a great time. Started to get sick, really sick, around 2008, 2009, 2010 time frame. Doctors couldn't figure out what was going on, had a multitude of things. Roughly 2010, 2011, I was diagnosed with two different rare diseases. One of them is a neuromuscular disease that attacks my muscles and my diaphragm. And lucky for modern medicine, I can I take medicine every 4 hours to keep me up and going and moving. Otherwise, I couldn't be sitting here. I'd just be a blob on the floor. The other condition that I have is really rare. There's less than 1 million people on the entire globe that have this disease. And over the past 5 years or so, I started to lose my hearing. It's been harder and harder to hear, but since over the past year, I've become deaf. I can't hear anymore, so I rely solely on lip reading now. And I'm currently doing chemotherapy. They don't really know how to treat what I have, Ed, because there's so few people that have it. And out of those less than 1 million people in the world that have what I have, don't take me to court on the numbers, but I think it's 0.008% of people that have had hearing loss out of that less than 1 million. And then out of that 0.008, there's lots of zeros that have gone completely deaf. So they don't really know how to treat it, they just throw things at it. And so I'm currently doing chemotherapy right now because there's a slight chance, due to some scientific papers that are out there, that could bring up some, maybe just a little bit of useful hearing for me, which would be great. But you asked what makes me me, Ed.
What makes you you?
So many people that I know that are sick, like me. So many people that I know. I don't know anybody else that has the rare disease that I have, but I know people that have the other disease.
And there's so many people who are going through chemo.
Absolutely.
There's so many people who are afraid.
Absolutely.
Afraid of what happens. And it is scary.
It's very scary.
Right? And then there's what happens to my hair? What happens to my family? The family gets scared. I want you to talk to the folks, right? I want you to share what keeps you moving. What message would you give those other beautiful women like yourself?
Thanks, Ed.
Those words of inspiration. And let's talk to your people.
When you're going through a hard time, whether it's chemo, there's just so many things in the world that give us those challenges. You have to remember that you are a source of hope for other people and a source of courage for other people. I know I have people come up to me now since I've lost my hair, and just this week alone, Ed, I mean, this is only day 2 of our conference, and I've had several hundred people come up to me and say, my mom has cancer, my friend has cancer, my wife has cancer, my daughter, my son, just sharing their stories, and I listen to their stories, and I offer to pray for whoever their friend or their family member is, but I tell them that I don't have cancer, so I don't understand it from that perspective, but I certainly understand it from the chemotherapy perspective.
Right.
And it's scary, Ed. I worked in healthcare the majority of the beginning of my career, so I know what's going into my body, and it's really, really scary. And you feel terrible, but in my most terrible moments, I look to God for my strength. I look for the people around me for strength, and I look toward other people that are going through what I'm going through. I am so inspired by other people. When I sit in the chair at the clinic and I'm getting my chemo, or I'm going in for a checkup, or I'm going in for a blood transfusion, whatever it is, I am so inspired by all of the other people there, all of the other warriors who are fighting a battle against their own body. And you mentioned losing your hair, Ed, and my inspiration. And when she had to shave her head, she did it live on Facebook for everybody to see, because she wanted to be raw. She wanted to be real. She always said, for her, she had breast cancer, and she said breast cancer isn't pink ribbons and pretty bows. It's ugly. Right. And Ed, I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be brave. I wanted to share that day, that moment with everybody. But that day I wasn't that strong. My hair had been falling out in chunks, and I have really, really long, thick, tons of hair. And it's funny because I used to complain about how thick my hair was and how long it takes to blow dry it, of course. Us ladies were never happy with anything. So my hair started falling out in chunks, and I was doing the comb over and trying to, cover it up. But the day came. This chunk right here came out, and there's no comb over. I can't do a forward comb over. And I got down on my bathroom floor, and I cried and I cried and I cried and I prayed and I asked God, please, please, please give me the strength to share this moment with everybody that loves me. And I failed God. I know He wanted me to do it, but I failed Him.
But He was preparing you.
He was preparing me, my friend.
Because right now, you went through a situation that has prepared you for this very moment. Absolutely. In time, right now. Because it's the realness. You didn't fail God, and God didn't fail you. God prepared you to go out and let everybody else know that beauty is not your hair.
No, it's not.
But beauty is the spirit that's in.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ed. So that day I shaved my head, Ed. My husband wasn't home. He came home. He was so mad at me. I had my head covered. I wouldn't even let my husband see my head. And I want to share with you some tremendous advice that I got, and I'll probably start crying.
It's okay.
So the week that I had to shave my head, it was a really big week for me. I was going to meet with some new clients. I was doing a keynote. I just had a lot going on. The following week, I was doing a big workshop. And Mark Cole is my mentor. He has helped me so much in this team.
Mark Cole's a great guy.
He is amazing. He's made me such a better, incredible leader. He's challenged me. He's believed in me, which for me has been tremendous. But I got on one of his calls on a Tuesday morning. It was actually his birthday. And I said, Mark, I'm scared. I'm getting ready to go out into the world. I'm talking myself out of it, and I love to help people. That's why I'm here. And Mark gave me some great advice. And this is, you asked for what advice I would give some other people that are going through trials or tribulations. What Mark told me that day was to live it out, where I'm at. He encouraged me to be authentic. And this is advice that John Maxwell had given him in a situation where he was feeling some strain in his life, professionally and personally. He told me that by being me, by being authentic, by not covering up my head, by just being me and showing my heart instead of my head, that I would allow myself to be accessible to people that I ordinarily wouldn't be accessible to. And that's what I want to pass. It was that advice has.
Fight through it because you're a warrior. You're a warrior, and the enemy is a liar.
That day changed me. It changed me a lot. I've always been a very authentic person. It's always been really important to me to be authentic. But that day changed my life. And by going out into the world, I'm afraid, Ed. I'm afraid. Now I'm not. But for the first couple of weeks going out as a bald woman, it was scary. But not only has it allowed me to love more on other people because people are coming up to me, but it's allowed me to love more on others. About a year ago, maybe, I told you I can't hear, but one thing I can hear is God's voice. And God encouraged me to inspire people, and I know that's my purpose. I know that's my calling. I know that's why He kept me alive. And my goal is to inspire 1 million people before I die. None of us are promised tomorrow. The odds are stacked differently against me. But when you're living it out, when you're just being true, when you're being real, when you're living in the moment where you're at, no matter if you are, sorry for the details, but if you're leaning over the toilet, throwing up, whether you're laying in bed, you can't get out of bed, whether you're hooked up to the machine, getting that poison put in your veins, that's real, that's where you're at. And Ed, I always wonder, when I was younger and didn't really have a great relationship with God, or didn't really have a relationship with God, I used to always wonder, why does God take good people and do bad things? When I was 15, my best friend got murdered. And I didn't know God then. I was like, God, why? She was such a great person. And I can say, Ed, for me, from my journey that I've been through, I know that God chose me specifically for that journey. And to me, it's an honor. And I know that's hard for some people because they don't have that deep relationship with God like I do. But God chooses special people to go through trials so we can show triumph to inspire other people. So if you're going through a hard time, whatever it is, just live it out, be in that moment, be true, and let people love you. That's something I struggle with so much. I love people so much, and I want to serve people so much that sometimes I don't allow the room for other people to serve me and love me. So just let people love you, and just pray and pray and pray, and don't hide it. Let people know what's going on with you, so people can love you and people can pray for you and people can support you. Because on my worst days, and it's hard for me, it's still something I'm working on, Ed, but in my hardest days, I reach out to the people that I know that love and care for me, and they lift me up and they help me get through those days.
And what I'm going to say as we get ready to wrap up on this one is that, as I was telling you earlier, my neighbor, Kira, she's battling. We're about to kick some behind, right? But she has this stage 4 cancer. She started chemo last Tuesday. And when we were talking, you and I were talking earlier, I said I'd like for you to just to give a little message. But Kira, as you shared your situation with us, it triggered an action within me, because our family cares so much about you and your family. But I wanted you to know you're not alone. And we're taking your situation and this message here that we just did it never would have happened the way this is about to happen had you never opened up and shared what you're going through. And so I just want to let you know that God will take pain. God will take things that we might not understand and use them for a greater purpose. I'm going to give you the last word. I'll let you say something. I know we got drums playing in the background because we're getting that battle beat going. We're getting ready to go into war. And you don't go into war without a lot of noise. So let's get ready to get out on that battlefield. I'm going to let you take us home.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed. And Ed, I'm honored that you would ask me to speak into Kira's life. And Kira, first of all, I love you. Second of all, God loves you. I know Ed showed me your Facebook post this morning, and what struck me the most is you said the cancer is back again. I want you to know that I'm here for you no matter what. Ed has my contact information. I want you to call me. I want to pray with you. I want to be there to support you. I understand up to a point, but keep fighting. You have a beautiful family. You're a beautiful woman. And you've got this, Kira. Do not let cancer define you. You define the cancer. I love you.
She had the last word.